and I was like listening to this stream from this Orthodox apologist, and it was about the Jesus not knowing the day or the hour. And I don't understand why they think this is a good answer to appeal to his human nature. It's like the human limitations don't limit God. That would include human death, human ignorance, things like that. And this is why I said that God is the only person in the human nature. And so God in his human nature would know the day or the hour, and not the other way around, where God wouldn't know it in his human nature. No, he is the same person. Because I told you that God is God in both natures, because he does not change. He's not commingled, unconfused. And they even say this, and then they think that God in his human nature can be ignorant, because that's what's proper for a man. I said, you're only describing the human properties of his human nature, but that's why I said that God is not his human nature. Like having a human nature, like if I'm God and I was in union with the man, I would not be the man. I would be the God of the man. And so that's why I said you can't appeal to the human nature to explain why Jesus doesn't know the day or the hour. He says he does not know it in the same sense that the angels and men do not know it, that only the Father knows. The Spirit reveals, right? Reveals the day or the hour because he is the breath of God. But I don't know, it only says that the Father in heaven knows. And so does it follow that God does not know the day or the hour in his human nature? And then this is why I said that that's dual sonship. That God the Son, this one Son, is both God in his God nature, and the same Son is the human Son, right? I know the day or the hour in my God nature, but not in my human nature. And then they call me an Nestorian. I say, I'm not the Nestorian. They say, you are the Nestorian. It's like you're all Nestorians. How many Christians believe this lie of this hypostatic trash? And I'm trying to be charitable. Next time I had a bad dream. It's like I was in a, I don't know, I was in my dream. I was like mad or something. I was frustrated, and uh, like I was explaining something to my mom or something. Yeah, like my mom was there, and then I don't know, and then like I slapped her. I think she didn't understand. And I woke up and I was like, I felt really bad. I'm like, why would I do something like that, you know? And so I don't want to, it's like what I think about it now, and it's like, yeah, because I went to liturgy today, and it was like, a spiritual father was talking about how, you know, if you have to, you know, love other people, right? And then by the grace of God, you know, be like kind, right? And then because we're talking about grace and stuff, this is by God, grace, the grace that is given to you, you know, because I mean, it's like I know I'm not worthy to have such an understanding, and so that's what I'm saying. Like I don't want to be hurting people, like, and so I try to watch myself, like what I say, because maybe I was coming kind of harsh, like in the chat a little bit, like maybe I was saying some stuff, and so I apologize for that. I don't want to do that, like. But anyway, I just want to just leave it at that. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, Amen. There's some thoughts, like clarify like some things on universal salvation and stuff. But these other videos that I saw, like some, and I don't know, some Orthodox, like he citing like held testimonies or something, and I'm like, okay, but you know this contradicts. Like I believe held testimonies contradict eternal damnation, or this idea infinite punishment requires, or no, the infinite sin against God requires infinite punishment. That's what it means to be perfectly just, right? So a perfectly just God is not really this equitable God, a God of grace, right? Like it's like if you broke the law, his law, and it's worthy of infinite punishment, is an offense unto him. And this Orthodox guy is like showing all these like testimony videos, and it's like, I don't know, like it's warning about hell or something, but then at the same time, it's like if God let you out of hell, that would be a contradiction to that justice, right? Because how can it be worthy of infinite punishment if God is deciding you should get out of there, right? Like, why can't He just, I don't know, show a vision, using that person through a vision to communicate the eternal damnation? Why does God let them escape hell? Hell is a place, eternal damnation, right, where you cannot escape. And so I don't think hell testimonies prove your eternal damnation. Like, God could use a place like that, right? Like outer darkness or something. But it don't prove your eternal damnation, which is what I'm trying to say. Like, such a thing is like, I don't know, I just think it was like, such a thing is contradictory to the hell testimonies and stuff. And so, I don't know, that's just my thoughts that I wanted to share. I was talking to this guy, right, the same guy, like, that I'm using the word all are saved or something. Like, I'm using it in two different senses, but it's only because it's basically what he's like, it kind of, I mean, like, it kind of applies to people, even to people who don't believe in the salvation of all, right? Like, that Christ is the Savior of the whole world, right? But why is there sin and death in the world then? If He is the Savior of the whole world, that's kind of like what the question seemed like he was asking. And so, right, when you say He's the Savior of the whole world, but there's sin and death remains in the world. And so in what sense do you mean, right? So you have to mean it in a different sense. And so I'm saying that the salvation of all is the inevitable outcome of His work. And so I look at it from all eternity, that man is eternally saved, his creation is eternally saved. And that would be its inevitable outcome. That is what it's progressing towards, because it doesn't entail that sin and death cease to exist just because Christ is the Savior of the whole world, like immediately, I should say. But that would be its inevitable outcome. That's why you have the resurrection, and then you have the second death, and then the period of the people outside the kingdom, and then you have Christ and His bride in the kingdom, and the gates are open to them, and He says, like, basically calling out to those outside the kingdom, right, to come, all who thirst for the Lord, or so. Yeah, because it's not the same thing. Like, it doesn't happen all at once. It's like God, like a gardener, or raising a child. He gives it its time and progresses it, or like you get like the injection to cure a sickness, and the effects of it take time, right? So something like that, how it progresses in that direction. And then the thief on the cross, like you brought up the thief on the cross, that people can be saved automatically or something. But it's like, no, it's more like that parable where he was standing before the king, and the king had like great mercy on him because he was moved with compassion that that guy was he just had a lot of debt, and that king forgave him, right? And so the same thing with that thief on the cross. It's like he stood before God, right, Jesus, and he basically was moved, right? Like, God was like moved by him, or so, if I could say that. And so that all that is based on God's everlasting judgment, right? Because God also has every right, it would be just for God to condemn these people, right? To say that depart from me, you worker of iniquity, right? Because the thief lived the life of a thief, and he was being crucified for the way he was living, right? Because he wasn't a saint or anything. Like, he didn't live a saintly life or something like that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it depends on God's everlasting understanding. So I don't think that means that these people automatically go into the kingdom. That's why when they make choices out of their own free choice, they are judged by God, and God decides where they may go. And yeah, so I wanted to say to that, to address that, because I don't think I was being clear. Like, I was like, because I was trying to make sense. Like, in what sense do I mean this, right? Like, I believe in universal salvation, but sin and death remains in the world, and so it cannot just be this. It cannot entail this idea that it's just automatically going to cause sin and death to cease, right? Like, I think it progresses. So I don't know. Hopefully, I was clear.